Hello, my name is Mark Fisher. Have you ever wondered about how to write a book? I know it can be a daunting task. I've been asked many times if I want to write a book and should I write a book and all that. And it seems like a lot of work, and I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Well, recently I interviewed Marc Headley, also known as Blown for Good, and I interviewed him about his book, Blown for Good. And I was a big admirer of it. He's a friend of mine. I read the original version when it came out in hardback in like 2008, 2009. But then more recently, I listened to the audio version, and I was really impressed. Again, at this time, Marc Headley actually recorded and read the book himself. And it was like having him sitting in the front seat of my car while I was driving, telling me his stories. And it was really fascinating. Anyway, I did a long interview with Marc, but I wanted to highlight this section of the interview where he actually gives the backstory of how he did the book and how it was put together. And I thought it would be interesting for people, viewers on our channel, but also for people who are interested in possibly writing their own book. So without further ado, I want to play this clip, and then I'll come back afterwards briefly to talk to you a little bit more. So hold on one second here.
Getting it.
I want to move on just because we're moving along here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about your book because, like
Absolutely.
I said, I listened to your book on audio. Okay. I read your book when it first came out in 2008 or 9, whenever it was. It was fantastic. Yeah. But I want to refresh myself. So I saw, it's on audio. So this summer I got it. And you actually, the thing I love about audiobooks, and I listen to it in the car all the time, is because it's like you're sitting in the front seat with me telling me these stories. And you did an awesome job recording the book. But I wanted to ask you even before that, in writing the book, you didn't even complete high school. Did you write this book all by yourself, or did you have somebody help you? Because it's so well written. I just want to compliment you on how well written
I appreciate
Blown for Good is.
Well, and that was my main hang up on doing the book, was that I'm pretty sure if you want to write a book, you should have at least read a book. I mean, I've read Call the Wild, or like White Fang or something, but I'm not I just didn't read a lot. And what little I did read was Hubbard, because you have to in the Sea organization. Right. And I've read a lot of equipment manuals. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but I have some form of a photographic memory. So if I'm reading something, as long as I just see the page, then I'm good. I don't have to sit there and go through all of it. I just chink, chink. It's kind of like I'm just scanning it. And so that's the sort of thing I would do with equipment manuals and stuff so I could just scan through the whole thing and be like, okay, good. I know, like the Matrix, you just flip through it and you're like, okay, good. I know how to work this. And then and that's what I did with all that equipment at Golden Air Productions.
Yeah, because it's not easy stuff to read those manuals. No. And you obviously duplicated it because you know how to do everything with it.
Yeah, I had to use the equipment. So it wasn't like one of those things like you could fake it. I had to use it all day, every day.
There's no Crib Notes version of it.
And the other thing is, no one at when I got that equipment to do the quality control, no one at Golden Air Productions had ever read that manual before. So, so even when I read it, I was like, okay, in Scientology, you have to read a manual, then you have to get a checkout. Somebody else who's read the manual I couldn't get a checkout because nobody had ever read it. So it was it was sort of a weird thing. Like, hey, did you get a checkout? I'd be like, no, I can't get one. And they're like, why not? I'd go, no one's read it. And then they would be like, and every person that tried to read it would end up just buried in a dictionary for 2 days. And they were like, if you know how to use it, you know how to use it. Anyway, but so when I wrote the book, it was a lot of the idea was all these things that I had posted on the internet for 4 years, we would take those and then just make them into a book. And every time I would look at one of those, I would be like, well, I only wrote that because I was putting it on the internet. I would make it longer if I would tell the whole story, what happened before, what led up. And so then I just said, you know what? And Claire and I had discussed it. And she said, I'll figure out how to make the book. You just write it. Okay. And I was like, okay. And she had a book like, how to self-publish a book, or, how to do this. And so I'm just writing away. I was like, I'm going to start at the beginning when we moved to California, when I was a little kid, when I was 5 or whatever it was. Yeah. And I'm just going to go up to when we got out. And it was about 1,000 pages. It was just the whole thing. And then she's reading these books and she goes, yeah, it can't be more than 400 pages. I was like, what? She goes, yeah, your first book needs to be less than 400 pages. And I was like, well, okay. So we threw away half the book. Yeah. To make it into whatever it is. It's like 398 pages. I don't even have a copy of it right here. But either way, I would go back in we lived in Burbank. And we had a house, and in the back of the house there was like a little like a garage that had been turned into an office, and in there it had a little recording studio, and that was my office. And then Claire had what would be like the machine room or the equipment room where the mix board and everything would be. And I was in the vocal booth, and that was my office. And so I would just go back in my office, and I would just, every night when I got home from work, kind of like I do now, I would I'd do my day, work, do my day job. And then when I get home, have dinner with Claire and the kids. And then I'd go back into my office and I'd crank out a chapter. And I just did that every single day. Every day. Yeah. And every day I would just write a chapter. And sometimes I'd write 3 or 4 chapters. Like I'd stay up until 8 o'clock in the morning and just be like,
you've been on a roll.
Because once you're back in that world, it's easy. And for me, because when I'm remembering something, I'm just playing back a video in my head that happened. So I can remember almost all the dialogue, and I just go back, just transport myself back to that time, or back to when this happened or what that happened. And I can just sit there and download that into words. I can just keep going over it and writing. Oh yeah, then didn't this, who was that? Oh, that was John Stumpke. And I don't know why I remember the names, and I don't know why I remember faces and what people said.
I do too. Yeah. Yeah.
But for some weird reason, when I did this, up until 2009, I would have nightmares, like routine nightmares from getting like just waking up back there, or I'm in the supermarket and David Miscavige is pushing a cart with my kids and he's like, you lost the kids, just weird, just like, and I would have them so much that I wouldn't sleep, because I know if I fall asleep, I'm going to have these weird nightmares. And then I would get kind of depressed or just out of sorts. And it was just a weird time. And when I finished writing the book, I stopped having the nightmares. And I thought, that's the weirdest thing in the world, that just writing it made the nightmares stop. And so then I thought, there's something to this for me that makes it so that I don't have the nightmares. And I thought, how weird would it be if somebody else that was having some weird problem read my thing and somehow it could help them? And I was like, oh yeah, I totally got to do this. I wasn't even still sure that I was going to do the book, but somehow there was something to all this. And then Claire got the ISBNs and the design, and after I had written it all and sort of got it down to like 500 pages or something. A guy by the name of Dan Kuhn.
Yeah, I know
Dan Kuhn
sure.
used to be at the Ent Base, and he, funnily enough, he edited a lot of the books that are now the L. Ron Hubbard books that you see
Right.
that they have. He was the one who edited he edited it L. Ron Hubbard and made it into these Scientology books. I thought, how funny would it be if I got that dude to edit my book? Because he edited the L. Ron Hubbard books. And then the person who designed my book is the same person who designed all the Scientology books.
Jeff Hawkins, right?
No, Jeff Hawkins did some stuff for us, but not that. Jeff Hawkins was more like a marketing guy. He did do some designs of some books, but the guy who did like the typesetting and the layout and stuff like that, his name was Kalahiki. Kalahiki is the one who did the design and he did the cover art and the cover and then the slipcase and the typesetting and all that stuff. And so, he read the book. And after he read the book, he made that the cover from the chapter. It starts out where they're chasing me the day of my escape from Scientology. I'm driving down the highway on a motorcycle and they're chasing me with the Nissan Pathfinder SUV, and they run me off the road while we're driving down the road. And so he wrote that, he drew that, he took some artistic license on the motorcycle. That's not exactly how my Yamaha TWT 200 looks in real life. But I was like, it's a cover of a book. Let him be. But the funny thing is the picture of the SUV is from a picture of that SUV. Right. This Scientology Sea Org security SUV. That is that actual SUV. So the guy that edited L. Ron Hubbard's books edited it. The guy who designed and did the typesetting and the glossary and all that, he did it. And then we had a friend of mine that used to work at the Ent Base, and his wife was like a real estate agent, and she was going to college to get her master's in something. And I said, hey, can you do me a favor and read this? It had already been gone through by Dan, and then it was gone through by her. And I said, could you read this and tell me what you think? And for the most part, she was like, it's amazing. I really like it. There's a lot of lingo in there.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah. And I always kind of thought that doing a glossary was like a Scientology type thing. And then I realized, well, yeah, because they're using so much lingo that you can't even understand what's going on without a glossary. Right. And to some extent, there is a bit of that in there. So we added a glossary, and it was sort of like, oh, this is helpful. And then the only other thing that she said was it was hard to kind of picture where some of the things were and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. And so we didn't take out the lingo. And the reason I didn't want to take out the lingo was because the people that I want to read there's two people that I want to read the book. People that are in Scientology and people that are maybe thinking or interested in getting into Scientology. Right. And then if you're just somebody who wants to know about crazy shit, then you can read it too. But it's really for those two people. I want to inoculate anyone who's like having some ideas, like maybe this is a good one. Maybe, read this and then maybe think about it.
There you go. I wanted to highlight that because it's the backstory of how Marc Headley wrote Blown for Good. And it was in a longer interview, which you can watch on my channel. I'm going to suggest it, recommend it here at the end of the video if you want to watch the whole video. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. But I wanted to highlight this one section because many people want to write books or are afraid to write books, and he kind of breaks down how to do it. And I'm going to actually probably follow his lead and hopefully do my own book as well. Anyway, you can get his book. I wanted to show it here. You can purchase his book at www.blownforgood.com. He's got it in hardcover, paperback. He's got audio as well as a Kindle version. And if you haven't read his book, you should definitely read it. You'll really enjoy it. And if you have read it, get the audio version and listen to it again, because I'm telling you, you're going to laugh, you're going to have a good time, and you're going to enjoy the book one more time. So I just wanted to highlight that and let everybody know what was going on regarding Marc and his book and the backstory. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. Our Scientology stories, Peeling the Onion. Janice Gillum Grady and I, we do lots of stories about Scientology, its history, and about the abuses. So please subscribe to our channel if you would, please. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to make any suggestions about writing a book, please go down in the comment section and let us know, because I check the comments and I check that stuff all the time. Also, I have another channel if you'd like to subscribe to. It's called Las Vegas Travel and More, and it's just a fun channel. It's not about Scientology. It's just about Las Vegas, best places to eat from a local's perspective, best places to go, but also travel videos. We just did a video. Janice was on a cruise in Europe, and so we did a whole video regarding that too. So if you would, please, you can subscribe to that channel as well. And it's at MFisherLV. That's at MFisherLV is the address on YouTube where you can subscribe to that channel. And I would really appreciate it. Finally, if you want to donate, or if there's any you'd like to help us out, you can buy me a coffee. Again, go down in the description. You can click on that, and I would appreciate that. Any donation helps. It costs money to put these videos on. And I just want to say thank you. That's what I had for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until the next time, bye-bye. We'll see you later.